Good day. Here are the top stories from the Philippine News Agency. We start in Pasay, where the Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference for Disaster Risk Reduction opens today as the Philippines plays host for experts, authorities, and stakeholders in disaster resilience and risk reduction from around the world. Over 4,000 delegates from 69 countries are convening at the Philippine International Convention Center in Pasay City for the event, which runs until October 18. The 2024 conference runs with the theme Surge to 2030, Enhancing Ambition in Asia-Pacific to Accelerate Disaster Risk Reduction. The biennial event aims to advance, monitor, review, and enhance cooperation in disaster risk reduction under the global framework called the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015 to 2030. Later tonight, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. will host a ministerial reception at Malacanang Palace in Manila. He will then lead the grand opening ceremony at the PICC on Tuesday, October 15. At the 44th ASEAN Summit in Laos last week, Marcos said the conference will bring together stakeholders to exchange best practices and develop policies to help mitigate the devastating effects of natural disasters, especially those worsened by climate change. Malacanang has suspended government work and classes in all levels in Manila and Pasay City today and tomorrow to give way for those traveling for the event. Meanwhile, the National Capital Region Police Office on Sunday implemented a gun ban in Metro Manila for the duration of the conference. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has accepted the resignation of National Police Commission Commissioner Edilberto Leonardo. Communications Secretary Cesar Chavez confirmed on Monday that the President accepted Leonardo's resignation effective immediately. Napolcom Vice Chair Alberto Bernardo first revealed Leonardo's resignation during a hearing of the House Quad Committee on October 11. Leonardo was appointed to the Napolcom by former President Rodrigo Duterte in February 2022. He is being linked to the killing of 3 Chinese drug convicts inside a Davao prison facility in 2016 and the assassination of former Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office Board Secretary Wesley Barayuga in 2020. Leonardo has denied both allegations. The Commission on Elections has rejected a proposal to adopt a hybrid poll system for the 2025 midterm elections. Comelec Chair George Erwin Garcia said the law requires the poll body to implement automated elections next year. He says a new law is required in implementing a hybrid poll system. He adds that based on a Comelec study, vote counting under a hybrid system would cause significant delays. He cited a Comelec study revealing that hybrid vote counting at the precinct level alone would take around 3 days. The Comelec reacted to the proposal from the Coalition Alyansa ng Nagkakaisang Mamamayan, which claimed the automated elections in 2022 lacked transparency. Garcia meanwhile noted that in the 2025 polls, voters would be able to see a photo of their ballot on the machine to prove that it was counted. The same information will also be seen by poll watchers and observers through copies printed by the machine. 17 overseas Filipino workers have returned home from Lebanon over the weekend, the latest in the growing number of Filipinos seeking repatriation from the conflict-ridden country. The Department of Migrant Workers said 9 overseas Filipino workers arrived at the country from Lebanon on Saturday, while 8 others arrived Sunday afternoon. They will each receive financial assistance worth 75,000 pesos from the DMW plus 75,000 pesos from the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration. They will also be given livelihood assistance worth 20,000 pesos from the Department of Social Welfare and Development and skills training vouchers from TESDA. The DMW said a total of 450 OFWs and 28 dependents have returned to the country since the government launched its voluntary repatriation program and more Filipinos are expected to return soon. Earlier, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. ordered all concerned agencies to evacuate Filipinos in Lebanon amid the escalating conflict between Israel and the Hezbollah. The President has maintained Alert Level 3 in Lebanon. No Filipinos have been hurt or killed in Israel's airstrikes, the latest of which happened Thursday last week in Beirut and resulted in more than 20 deaths and over 100 injuries. In more news overseas, the Philippine government is investigating the death of 32-year-old Filipino nurse Reyna Jane Ancheta, who was found dead on a highway in Abu Dhabi after going missing for 3 days. Department of Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo Cacdac said the repatriation of her remains depends on the result of the investigation. Meantime, the government will sponsor the flight of Ancheta's husband, Kenneth Paul, to the United Arab Emirates so that he could personally observe the probe. UAE news outlet Khalij Times reported that Reyna arrived at Abu Dhabi in August and started working at Al Raya Home Health Care. The facility said Reyna had finished her shift until the afternoon on Saturday, October 5, and they had lost contact with her since then. In a separate interview, Kenneth Paul said Reyna's agency informed him that she died in a car accident. Kenneth Paul said he fears a cover-up as his wife had told him she often felt scared when returning every night to her dormitory. She left behind a 12-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter. In the United States, an elderly Filipina was tragically killed in the aftermath of Hurricane Milton in Tampa, Florida. The victim was identified as 73-year-old Luisa Santos, an operator of Oakland Manor Assisted Living, a facility caring for senior citizens. Local reports said Santos was hit by a falling tree while clearing fallen trees and branches around the facility. Her daughter, Wendy Tantoso, also shared that Santos stayed up all night during the peak of Hurricane Milton to ensure the safety of the 28 senior citizens in her care. Consul Jazil Cruz of the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C., confirmed that Santos has been helping in post-hurricane cleanup efforts around the community. The Philippine Embassy has reached out to the Santos family to offer assistance. And that's the latest and the biggest stories on the Pna Headlines. For more news updates, visit our website pna.gov.ph or our Facebook and X account, Philippine News Agency. The Pna Headlines is also streamed via the Servicio Facebook page. You may also watch the Pna Headlines through the Philippine News Agency's YouTube account and via the News and Information Bureau website under PNA News. It's 72 days before Christmas. I'm Leonardo. This is the Pna Headlines, bringing stories that unite the nation.